Greetings, friends, and welcome to the woods. I was asked a question the other day by somebody who's been bothered, perhaps tortured, by incoming from someone who has it out for them, and they were requesting advice on what to do at this point. And without pulling out my divination and looking at it from another perspective, without asking my patrons to weigh in on it, I can't answer the question. It's akin to uh, phoning your doctor and saying, "I'm sick. What do I do?" It's impossible to diagnose a situation if you don't know the person, if you don't know the circumstances, if you don't know the symptoms, what's causing the problem. There are many, many, many different factors that weigh in on how to solve something, from what they have available to them, what's their history, what's their spiritual discipline. Do they have patrons? Do they have guides and guardians they can contact to get assistance? Do they have people around them who understand spirituality enough to come in and support? Is it having a physical impact? Is it having a social impact on them? What's the symptoms? What are they willing to do to put a stop to it? Because burning your house down and walking away and changing your name and your identity and becoming someone other than who you are right now will put a stop to most of that, unless you're carrying something inside of you that connects you to that person, like genetic lineage, or a vow, a commitment that hasn't been rescinded, or a feeling of guilt about something that you've done. Because it's complicated, I've done a lot of different videos on the different steps to take and things you can do, because it's not something that can be wound up and delivered in just a few minutes like this. And this leads me to a different topic, what I call cookbook magic. When the internet first started, and before the internet, there were books that arranged what I call cookbook magic, where, oh, you have a problem, say you want a better love life? Well, here's the ingredients and here's how you use them. You assemble all of these ingredients and then you do this with them, and then that's the outcome you'll get. Now, that could work if you know why you're doing the things that you're doing, if you know how to set them up properly, if you know how to follow them through properly, if you know how to look for the subtle signs of assistance. Because basically, when you do cookbook magic, you're putting a signal out to your guides and guardians. I want to fix something, and I'm willing to do something spiritually to make it happen. And so they'll throw you a bone a lot of times, unless they have a reason not to. You got to be able to recognize the bones, and you got to be able to follow the path to see where it leads. And there's usually a few challenges you have to get out of the way, because if you've got a problem that you want to have fixed, usually the reason it's not fixed yet is you have some challenges. There are some things in your life that run counter to what you're wishing for. You have to overcome that to get it out of the way. Now, that's how my side of the chessboard works. It's learning and growing. The other side of the chessboard works a little bit differently. You want something? Here, we'll go ahead and give it to you right now. You don't have to do anything. You can pay later. Don't do that. Because the cost of what you're getting, it's rather like buying something on a credit card and keeping a balance on your credit card. When it comes due, the cost is going to be so much more than if you just took the steps, worked toward it, and let it come to you in its natural time. If you listened to your guides and guardians and did what you needed to do, And then when you do what you need to do, it'll work out. When you finally get what you want to get, it'll be worth it. You'll be able to keep it. You'll be able to take your finger off of it and it will stay. Whereas these instant deliveries, these whiz-bang instant, here you go, the minute your back is turned, the minute you take your finger off of it, the minute you're not supporting it with your energy, it could all just fall apart, and often does, unless you're actively paying the energy, the entity that gave it to you, unless it's an ongoing tribute of here and here and here and here. And again, the cost is enormous compared to just doing the work and just overcoming. And if no matter how much work you do and how much overcoming you do, you're still not getting it, drag in a friend. Bring in somebody who's a teacher, or somebody who's a knower, somebody who's outside of your matrix, who can look inside and say, oh, hey, I can see where the problem is, and help you sort it out. And maybe, just maybe, it's something that's not supposed to be sorted out in this lifetime. Maybe there's a natural course to be run, and you need to experience what you need to experience right now. It'll run its course. It'll be done at some point. But maybe you just need to see it through. So cookbook magic. If you have a background and you know the why and how of everything, yeah, it can be useful, but you have to know the how and why of everything, which is why when I'm talking to you, I'm usually not talking about, okay, you take a quarter pound of sage and you take 5 pounds of sandalwood and you mix it up in a cauldron and no, I'm not going to do that. You can get that anywhere. What I'm trying to do is help you understand how all of these things work on a fundamental level. Because, let me give you a for instance. They did a study and they looked at all of the different techniques you can use in psychology, the humanistic technique and the behavioral technique and the Freudian technique and all the different techniques, the primal scream and just everything. And they wanted to see which one worked better. And they had practitioners who had great success and they were raved about, to the ones that weren't so good. So they picked different levels of psychologists, and then they had them try all of these different methods. And what they discovered was, it wasn't the method, it was a psychologist. Somebody who's a natural healer can work whatever method that you give them, and they'll have the same rate of healing. Someone who's not very gifted in healing, a psychologist, you can give them the most seeming effective method, most trending, and it will matter because it comes from in here, the heart, the spirit, that kind of healing. It's a matter of interfacing spiritually with the person you're working with and building a bridge between them and the healing that they need, and walking them through that process, that bridge. And with the spiritual gifts, and that's a spiritual gift, by the way, it's the same way. You can do these cookbook, assemble your ingredients and put them together and pray over them and om over them, and you can do that. And if you're lined up, it'll work. But this is just as important, if not more important, than your cookbook. And there are a lot of different methods. And you want to work smart, not hard. Because you could be outnumbered. You could think that your problem's coming from one person, and it could be coming from a group. It could be coming from several groups. They could be pulling off of others and throwing what they're throwing at you. It could get very dangerous. So Know your landscape, know yourself, know your allies, and you'll get through it. And welcome to the woods.